This feels familiar, and I'm not sure if I like it. Elex is an open-world action RPG developed by Piranha Bytes and published by THQ Nordic in 2017. After the disappointment that is the second and third Risen games, Elex looks like a return to the Gothic days of having a big open world where you have to get stronger by experiencing the multiple methods of torture the game inflicts on you, working your way up in a dangerous world full of meaningful choices that influence the story. At least that's what the fans say, and I kinda agree. Elex is the first Piranha Bytes game that I finished all those years ago, and I remember enjoying the challenge and the world itself, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to play all the Piranha Bytes games. It has been a while, so it's a good time to take another look at Gothic 7. Yeah, the game looks alright, but can be beautiful in some instances. The textures can look really low res at times, popping in slowly in cutscenes. A lot of objects in the world pop in as you get close, even though my view distance is as high as it can be. And the rain and snow? Man, it's almost like GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition levels of ass. They look like they're just filters slapped on the screen, so it looks weird when you move the camera. It's like you're moving the character and the rain and snow effects along with him. Those issues can be very distracting at times, but the world itself is so detailed and vibrant that I kind of forget about its shortcomings. The world design is cool too. It's a combination of post-apocalyptic, fantasy, and sci-fi, and it works surprisingly well. The game ran smoothly at 1440p, 60 FPS at max, but there was a point where the game kept crashing when fast traveling for some reason. It would crash for about 6 or 7 times in a span of 10 minutes. The crashing stopped after I restarted my PC, but it happened again after that, so I don't know if it's the game or my hentais, but it's something to consider. Then there's this. Why did they have a narration cutscene with a bunch of enemies and not use their voices? Like, what is going on right now? The gameplay consists of exploring, questing, and killing things. One of the mechanics that sets this game apart from the other Piranha Bytes games is the jetpack. This thing rocks ass and makes exploration so much more fun. You can go to high places and see the view, and fall damage is basically non-existent. I never felt so free playing a Piranha Bytes game. I do wish the devs would let you use the jetpack for a longer period though, or at least make it recharge quicker. There are many times where I just want to climb a tall structure or hill and I ran out of fuel, forcing me to just stand there for a few seconds to recharge the jetpack. It breaks the pacing a bit and I just want to get back to the fun shit. There's always something to find in the world, so it encourages exploration, and you're gonna need everything you can loot since money is tight. Fast travel is done by using teleporters that you can discover. Some of them aren't immediately noticeable, hiding in plain sight, so be sure to look around the areas you visit before bouncing. There's a skill you can get that lets you see where the teleporters are, but I think it would be better to have that by default, since it would save you from all the running and searching around for them. There's a morale system in the form of coldness. It changes the way you can act towards NPCs and what you can do in the ending. It's cool, since it's not about being good or bad, well sometimes it is, but it's more about how compassionate or logical you want to approach a situation, and that's kinda refreshing. Now for the combat. Piranha Bytes games are infamous for its janky combat, and it's no different here. It's jankier than the Risen games, and I don't know how that's possible. You start off really weak, so doing side quests to level up is a must. Do as many quests as you can in Goliath, the first town you discover, before tackling the main quests. If you're like me who walked his ass over to the most northeast part of the map to join the clerics, getting fucked multiple times along the way because I was too weak to deal or take any damage, you're gonna have a bad time. One new combat mechanic the devs added is the stamina meter, which immediately makes me think of the Souls games. Attacking, blocking, and rolling use stamina, all of which I welcome since it discourages you from spam rolling your way through the game like the latter two Risen games. You can do light and heavy attacks and even a special attack that can be performed by building up this special meter. There's a long build up before using special attacks though, so I didn't use it that much. It's just safer to hold up your shield and attack when the enemy stops attacking, though that's not the safest option either since some attacks break your guard and it doesn't show you whether or not they do. The enemies doesn't telegraph their attacks well either. Sometimes it's clear, but other times they just quick attack you without warning and it's unfair. I think the humanoid enemies have mostly decent telegraphing. They have an anticipation animation before attacking, so the players know when to dodge or block. It's just the creatures that are the most unpredictable. Sure, they lift up their arms before hitting you, but you won't have the time to dodge away from it. Please fix this, man. I don't want cheap deaths anymore. I'm tired. It's like every Piranha Bytes game from the last 10 years has this problem. Speaking of problems, there's the balancing. This game will fuck you in the ass no matter what level you are. What you're seeing here is one of the last missions in the game. I got the endgame armor along with an endgame sword, and even with those, it's not enough to take on a group of enemies. I also got the second level of the melee weapon and armor skills, and I'm like level 30 or somewhere close to that at this point. You still have to take it slow, and I miss the days of Gothic where you're a beast by the end who only fucks. In Elex, when you see a group of enemies, you either pull down your pants and do a goatsy because you're fucked anyway, or you cheese by shooting them from afar. If you're a melee build like me, then you won't have any money to upgrade your range attacks, since you'll be spending that on upgrading your armor, melee weapon, or any skills that help you enhance your build. That means if you start using ranged weapons now, you're not gonna do much damage. Eventually, I just started using the flamethrower to blast everything. It made me feel like my build is worthless in the endgame. Man, it's always the gangbangs that gets me in Piranha Bytes games. You can bring a companion with you, but they're not as powerful as they are in Risen 2 or 3, which incentivizes you to actually get better yourself, but in situations like these, I could have used the help. You can upgrade your companions to do more damage, but again, you need more money and you already used the money on other important things already. Same with your attribute points needed to get the skills in the first place, so that's not an option. I've done all the side quests I can find, in Goliad, Ignadon, the Dome City, some NPCs in the areas between towns, companion quests, and I still don't have enough money for like half the skills that make the game easier. I even got the animal trophy skill to pull out every last bit of bones, teeth, and asshole out of wild animals, and still it's not enough. So yeah, flamethrower. Looking pretty sexy. When enemies spot you from afar, they will take out their guns to shoot. If you get close, they'll pull out their melee weapons then chase you around. There's no good way to engage a group except to just pop a few flame shots and hope they all burn. And these mechs? Fuck them. They shoot these lasers that give you electric damage that hurts you over time, their punches stun you, and they fly up in the air and ground pound you, sending you inside their robotic asshole. These problems doesn't just exist in this mission. It's spread throughout the game in different degrees. I have to keep cutting enemies around just to have a chance to survive, and that's not fun to play. What the fuck? How did that hit me? This doesn't make sense. What the, he did it again? That little shit. Okay, look. Knowing when to run away is an important aspect of this game. You can't and shouldn't force your way through a situation you can't handle, so you gotta do some side quests to get stronger. That's good open world game design, since you're encouraged to see what's out there in the world instead of just focusing on a linear story. But man, when you're at the right level for the encounter and still get pounded, that's when I don't want to play the game and turn on Sims 4 with wicked whims instead. There are like two bosses in this game, a metal ball and the hybrid. One shoots you while having minions come out to slap you around, and the other... Alright, I guess I'll just go fuck myself. It's story time. If you don't want spoilers, then go to this timestamp now. Due to the way the game is paced, you know, with the main story missions being too difficult, making you do side quests before tackling them, there are long gaps between story events, so it's kinda hard to keep track of what's happening. It's overall a decent story, but nothing to jizz over. In Elex, you play as Jax, a commander of the Alps, a faction of soldiers controlled by a being called the Hybrid. The Alps lack emotion and only operate on logic because they ate too many of those blue crystals called Elex. The game is set in Magaland, which is basically Earth after being hit with a comet containing a substance called Elex. Elex changed the whole planet, affecting everything, mutating animals, and gave humans the ability to do cool magic tricks. One day while on a mission, Jax was shot out of the air and his dickhead brother decides that he failed his mission and have one of the soldiers kill him. Jack survives, but he gets robbed of his cool suit of armor, and he's feeling emotions for the first time since Elex left his system after his fall. Jax finds a guy called Duras who's a part of the Berserkers and tries to kill him, but got owned himself instead. Duras is a nice guy, so he takes Jax to Goliath, the home of the Berserkers, to figure things out, and decide what he wants to do next. So throughout the game, Jax questions his former faction and struggles to choose whether or not to go back. What starts off as a revenge plot turns into a story about self-discovery and bonding with the many different people who helped you along the way, uniting them to face a bigger threat to save the world. So basically, this is a shonen anime. I mean, it's about an emo guy going around the world, learning the true meaning of friendship and slowly opening himself up. Friendship and love doesn't make you weak, they make you strong. What else can I say? For that, the story is a default S tier. Is what I would like to say, but it's still overall a by-the-numbers story about gathering the little guys to beat the big man on top. The world itself and its inhabitants are more interesting than the story itself for sure. The factions are cool. They're the Berserkers that reject technology and are basically living their best fantasy life with cool magic and shit. Clerics are these religious nutjobs with really cool tech and indoctrinates people into their cult with Jedi mind tricks. The outlaws don't give a fuck about anything other than money, and the Alps are cool. Literally. They live on a snowy mountain. I like the companions as well. They all have their own motivations and goals, and I felt a connection with them through their side quests. I can't say that for any other Piranha Bytes games, so they're definitely improved on that front. You can find all sorts of interesting places and creatures to fight, and it's a joy to just run around and explore. Anyway, Jax goes around making friends and discovers the past that he has forgotten. Jax was born in a Berserker village, but it was raided by the Alps, and he along with his now brother Elex were kidnapped to serve the hybrid. Now the title art makes more sense. There aren't any factions on it other than the Alps and Berserkers, so I guess the Berserkers is the canon faction to join. The hybrid is basically this guy called Adam Charles Dawkins, who foresaw an alien threat coming, but couldn't convince anyone to fight against it, so he ate too much candy, became a dude in a robot suit, take over the Alps somehow, and collect Elex. They just kinda throw it out there like, yeah, so this guy's the hybrid, lol. There's no build up at all, so the reveal just falls flat, like who gives a shit. I'm gonna kill him anyway. Elex is basically an alien-made product for transforming worlds, to allow the alien invaders to take over easier. The reason why the hybrid wants all the Elex is to gather it all for the aliens that are coming to inherit the world and live alongside them by transforming themselves and the Alps with it. At the end, Jax gathers an army to raid the Alp base, kill the hybrid, and they lived happily ever after. The end. Also, there's now a scary ring thing in the sky, and everyone has a set amount of time to gather strength to fight off the alien invasion. To be continued in Elex 2. There are definitely some cool concepts here, it's just not paced or executed in a satisfying way. Jax's bizarre adventure was great, but certain parts are better than others. Elex is a decent return to form for Piranha Bytes. The graphics can look great, but there are some technical issues that hinder it, like crashes and texture and object pop-ins. The story is okay with some cool things going on, but it's not as satisfying as it could have been. The world itself and companions are the best part of the story, but everything else is pretty standard. Gameplay is a mixed bag, with exploration being the best part and combat being the worst. From the poor telegraphing of the enemy's attacks to the constant gangbangs, stiff movement, and poor character progression, it's not the most fun I've had in a Piranha Bytes game. I think the devs got a lot right here, and just needs to polish the mechanics. We might never see the jank fully removed from a Piranha Bytes game, and some players have accepted that over the years, but damn it, I still can't stop imagining a world where these games run buttery smooth with a combat system that doesn't make me dread using. I mean, if spiders can go from jank to decently playable, why couldn't Piranha Bytes? Maybe Elex 2 will improve on things, but who knows. I can only be positive for so long. I finished the playthrough in about 21 hours, and I took my time doing a lot of side quests in between. Keep in mind that this is my second playthrough, so I'm somewhat familiar with what I have to do, so your first playthrough will probably be way longer. Elex is decent if you can get over the jank. If not, then go play Honey Select or something. Alright, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Next is Elex 2 later.